When two people come together, there's always that subtle dance, a question of rhythm, of timing, of who speaks first and who listens. But something remarkable happens when you find someone with whom silence no longer feels like emptiness, when the space between words is not awkward but alive, when she can sit beside you without needing to speak, and yet somehow the air feels full. That's when you begin to realize that connection isn't built out of sentences, but out of presence. You see, most of us are taught to fill silence as though it were a void, as if every pause demands an explanation, as if words themselves are proof of affection. But the deeper truth is that words are only ripples on the surface of something much vaster. The real communication, the kind that matters, happens beneath language, in the subtle feeling of being understood without having to explain yourself. When she feels safe in your silence, it means she's no longer performing. She's not trying to impress you, or keep your attention, or prove her worth. She's simply being. And that's the rarest thing of all, because to be yourself unguarded in another's presence is the highest form of trust. Think of how exhausting it can be to constantly maintain a version of yourself for others, to stay interesting, clever, or mysterious enough to keep someone's eyes from wandering. That's the modern game of attraction, two people acting, each hoping the other will fall for the mask. But when she can sit in silence with you, and neither of you feels the need to perform, the masks begin to fall away. What's left isn't boredom, it's truth. It's like music. The beauty of a melody depends on the pauses between the notes. Without the silence, there's no rhythm, no meaning. In the same way, silence in a relationship isn't the absence of connection. It's the space that gives connection its shape. When she feels safe there, it means something within her recognizes something within you. A stillness that doesn't demand, doesn't chase, doesn't consume. And that's the key safety. Not the kind of safety that shelters her from the world, but the kind that allows her to open to it. When a woman feels safe in silence, she's not protecting herself anymore. She's letting her guard down because she trusts that the quiet between you isn't dangerous. It's not a sign of disinterest or fading affection. It's a sign of ease. You might find her looking out the window, lost in thought, and you don't feel the urge to ask what she's thinking. You just let her be. Because you understand that not everything needs to be spoken to be shared. The comfort of that kind of quiet is sacred. It's the sound of two people existing in the same moment without resistance. Most relationships struggle because people confuse stimulation with connection. They think that as long as the conversation keeps going, the bond is alive. But real closeness isn't measured in words. It's measured in peace. When she can simply breathe around you, when she can let go of her need to fill the silence. That's when you already have her heart, though you may not realize it yet. It's a paradox, isn't it? The more comfortable the silence, the deeper the connection. Because silence exposes what words often hide. In silence, you can feel the subtle energy between two people. The way your breathing sinks, the way your bodies relax, the way time seems to slow. There's no pressure to perform, no expectation to entertain, just being. And in that space, something gentle begins to unfold. It's no longer about trying to be interesting or trying to impress. It's about presence. Two souls sitting quietly in the same field of awareness, content to simply exist. You might not even be looking at each other, but something in you knows, this person understands me without needing to ask. If you've ever felt that kind of peace with someone, you know it can't be forced. It happens naturally, like breathing. And when it does, it's one of the most honest signs of love, because it means she's no longer afraid of the quiet. She trusts that you won't disappear into it. She knows that the silence isn't a gap to be filled, it's a home to rest in. So if she can sit with you in that space, no phones, no noise, no nervous chatter, and she feels calm rather than restless, stay there. Don't rush to speak. Don't mistake the stillness for a lack of emotion. That silence is saying everything you need to hear. Because when a woman feels safe in your silence, you already have her. Not through effort, not through charm, not through persuasion, but through peace. There's something magical about genuine laughter, the kind that comes from deep within, unplanned and unguarded. It breaks through the surface of formality and reveals something real. When she laughs freely with you, not because she's trying to please you or be polite, but because something in your presence disarms her, you've touched something rare. That laughter isn't just amusement. It's trust taking its first deep breath. You see, laughter has no mask. It's spontaneous, uncontrollable, and deeply revealing. You can fake a smile, you can force a compliment, but you can't fake the sound of joy. When she laughs without hesitation, what she's really saying, without words, is that she feels safe enough to let go. And letting go is the essence of love. In that moment, she's not analyzing what she said, or how she looks, or whether you're judging her. She's not protecting her image or trying to play a role. She's free. For those few seconds, the walls that people spend years building simply fall away, and what remains is authenticity. So when she laughs with you, truly, openly, you're not just making her happy, you're creating a space where she can be herself. And that's the beginning of real connection. Because attraction that grows from performance will always fade. But attraction that grows from authenticity has roots too deep to be shaken. Most people, without realizing it, wear layers of defense. They show the world fragments of themselves, edited and arranged to fit what they believe others want. But genuine laughter cuts through all that. It's raw. It's unscripted. It's the soul saying, I'm here and I'm safe. Think of how children laugh completely, wholeheartedly, with no care for how they appear. That's innocence in its purest form, before self-consciousness steps in. When a woman laughs like that with you, even for a moment, it means something within her remembers what it's like to be unburdened. You've reminded her of that freedom, and that's a powerful thing. It's not about telling jokes or being entertaining. Real laughter doesn't come from cleverness, it comes from connection. It's born out of the chemistry between two people who understand each other's rhythm. Sometimes it's not even about what's said. It's about the energy between the lines. You say something ordinary, and she bursts out laughing, not because the words were funny, but because the moment was alive. In that laughter, two egos dissolve for a second. The distance between me and you disappears, and what's left is shared joy, the kind that can't be owned or forced. That's why it feels so effortless, so light. It's not about trying to make her laugh to win her over. It's about allowing laughter to arise naturally because she feels at ease. And when you notice that she laughs more when she's with you, not the polite kind, but the deep belly laughter that shakes her shoulders, it's not just attraction, it's comfort. It's her body's way of saying, here, I can breathe. That's when you know the bond is more than surface level. Many chase relationships through intensity, big gestures, constant attention, grand declarations. But sometimes the truest signs of love are subtle, a quiet moment of shared amusement, a grin exchanged across the room. The way her laughter lingers even after the joke is over. Because laughter connects souls the way words never can. You can feel it too. The air becomes lighter. The tension in her body softens. The space between you fills with warmth. That kind of moment is sacred because it's real. You can't fake presence and you can't fake joy. And when the two meet, something divine passes through. So when she laughs without holding back, when her head tilts back, her eyes close, and her heart opens, you're not just witnessing happiness, you're witnessing surrender. The barriers have fallen, even if just for an instant. And that instant is everything. It's easy to think love is built from words of affection or grand moments of passion. But sometimes love begins in something as simple as a shared laugh. Because laughter is the sound of recognition, the sound of two souls remembering they were never truly separate. So if she laughs with you, Not out of politeness, but from the deep, unfiltered joy of being. Stay there. Don't try to make it more than it is. Just let the moment breathe. Because in that laughter, she's already chosen you, whether she says it or not. There's a quiet kind of magic that happens when two people no longer have to control the rhythm of each other's energy. When your calm becomes her calm, and her storm softens simply by being near you, that's not about dominance or persuasion. It's resonance. The meeting of two inner worlds that no longer compete, but begin to harmonize. You don't calm her by telling her to be calm. You calm her by being calm. Because peace, like music, is contagious when it's genuine. Most of us live in a constant state of mental noise. We rush, we worry, we plan, and we forget what stillness feels like. So when someone comes along who doesn't add to the noise, someone who doesn't demand energy but quietly grounds it, it's like the mind finally takes a deep breath. That's what she feels when your stillness touches hers. You become a mirror for something she already has within her, but may have forgotten how to access. You see, relationships often begin with a spark, excitement, chemistry, adrenaline. But that spark alone can't sustain itself. It burns fast and fades quickly. What remains after the flame settles is something deeper, something quieter. It's not the fireworks that hold people together. It's the calm that follows. When she can rest in your presence, when her nervous energy begins to dissolve simply because you're there, that's when love begins to take root. Stillness doesn't mean silence or passivity. It's not the absence of passion. It's the presence of awareness, a kind of centered energy that doesn't need to prove itself. When you're still inside, you stop reacting and start responding. You no longer try to fix her moods or control her emotions. You simply stay grounded, allowing her to find her own center through the reflection of yours. Imagine a lake on a windy day. The surface ripples wildly, but beneath the movement, the depth remains unmoved. When you embody that depth, you give her something solid to lean into. Not because you're holding her, but because you're holding yourself. She senses that. Women are deeply intuitive when it comes to emotional energy. They can feel when your calm is authentic and when it's forced. True peace can't be faked. It's not in the tone of your voice or the slowness of your speech. It's in your presence, the quiet confidence of someone who doesn't need to control the moment to feel safe. When she begins to mirror that energy, it's not a coincidence. It's her natural rhythm aligning with yours. The human heart has its own language, and when two people are in sync, their nervous systems start to resonate. Her breathing slows to match yours. The tension in her body softens. The space around you both feels lighter. That's the silent communication of real intimacy, the kind that doesn't need to be spoken to be felt. So often, love is misunderstood as a series of emotional highs and lows. But the deeper it goes, the quieter it becomes. The early excitement fades into a steady hum, a rhythm that feels more like home than adventure. And when she finds that rhythm in you, she no longer seeks constant reassurance. She doesn't need endless words to know she's loved. She feels it in the stability of your presence. It's not about being stoic or emotionally detached. True stillness has warmth. It's not cold or distant. It's safe, open, steady. When you're at peace with yourself, you give her permission to stop fighting her own mind. You become a kind of anchor, not one that traps her, but one that reminds her it's okay to rest. Sometimes she might come to you carrying the weight of the day, thoughts spinning, emotions high, energy scattered. You don't need to fix it. Just be there. Listen without trying to solve. Hold space without judgment. The more you stay centered, the more she begins to return to herself. Because in that moment, your stillness says what words never could. You're safe here. And in a world that's constantly rushing, constantly demanding more, that feeling is rare. When she can breathe near you, when she can feel her own peace return in your presence, that's when she's already yours, though not in the sense of ownership, but in recognition. Because love isn't about control or conquest. It's about reflection. When she mirrors your stillness, it's her soul saying, I remember this place. I remember who I am when I'm with you. And that's when connection moves beyond attraction. It becomes resonance. So if she finds calm in your company, don't underestimate it. Stillness is not the absence of love, it's its purest expression. When your peace becomes her peace, you already have her. There's a certain beauty in the moment someone stops pretending to be perfect, when she no longer hides behind her carefully built image and finally lets you see her chaos, the messy, uncertain, vulnerable parts of who she is. That's when you've reached the heart of something real. Most people show their polished side, the version they think the world will accept. But when she trusts you enough to show what's behind the mask, it means she no longer fears being seen. That kind of openness isn't weakness. It's courage disguised as honesty. You see, love doesn't bloom in perfection. It blooms in authenticity. Anyone can love the easy parts, the smiles, the confidence, the moments when everything looks beautiful. But when she lets you into her confusion, her doubts, her moments of insecurity, she's giving you a rare invitation to meet her where she's real. And that's the moment you should listen most carefully, not to the words she says, but to the trust it took for her to say them. When a woman shares her chaos with you, it's not because she wants you to fix it. She's not looking for solutions, and she doesn't need rescuing. She's showing you who she is beneath the calm exterior, testing not your intelligence, but your patience, your acceptance, your stillness. If you can hold that space without judgment, you've already earned her respect, and likely her heart. The truth is, we all carry storms within us. Memories, fears, expectations. They swirl and clash like thunderclouds we pretend not to have. But when she feels safe enough to reveal her inner weather, that's sacred. It means she's chosen you as the place where she doesn't have to hide from herself. Don't turn away when you see her in that state. Don't rush to cover her silence with words or her tears with comfort. Sometimes love means simply standing in the rain with her without trying to stop it. Because connection isn't about fixing, it's about witnessing. To witness someone in their rawness is to meet them beyond their roles and stories. It's to say, I see you even when you're not shining. And that's what every human being quietly longs for. Not to be adored for their best self, but to be accepted for their whole self. When she begins to share her chaos, it's tempting to interpret it as drama or instability. But look deeper. What she's really doing is testing whether your calm can hold space for her storm. If you become defensive, impatient, or distant, she learns that her truth is too heavy to be carried. But if you stay present, if you listen with gentleness instead of advice, she begins to trust you with the parts of her soul that don't make sense. And in that trust, love deepens. There's something profoundly intimate about two people sitting together in emotional honesty. No masks, no filters, just raw presence. It's not always pretty. Sometimes it's heavy, sometimes confusing, sometimes quiet. But that's where real connection breathes, in the spaces where both people are allowed to be human. When she shares her chaos, she's not creating distance, she's dissolving it. She's saying, I want you to know the real me, not just the version that smiles in the light. And if you can meet her there, not as her savior, not as her judge, but as her mirror, something shifts. The dynamic moves from performance to partnership. You stop being two separate individuals trying to impress one another, and you start becoming two souls learning how to coexist in truth. She doesn't need you to have all the answers. She just needs to know you won't leave when she stops pretending to have hers. It takes patience to love someone through their chaos, but it also takes humility, because the moment she opens up, she's not only trusting you, she's teaching you. Teaching you that love is not found in control, but in acceptance. That to truly love someone is to let them unfold without rushing their process. And that, in turn, gives you permission to do the same, to show your own chaos when the time comes. So when she comes to you not as the woman the world sees, but as the woman who trembles behind that image. Take a breath. Look at her, really look at her. Understand that this is the most honest version of love. Two imperfect beings sharing their truth in a world obsessed with appearances. Because when she shares her chaos without fear, it's not a cry for help. It's a sign of trust. It means she's not afraid to be real with you, and that's something even beauty can't compete with. And when she knows that her chaos doesn't scare you away, that her truth doesn't make you flinch, that her vulnerability is safe in your hands, you already have her. There comes a moment in every genuine connection when the keeping of score quietly dissolves. When she stops measuring how much she gives against how much she receives, something beautiful begins to take shape. It's no longer a transaction, it becomes a flow. Love, when real, isn't a balance sheet. It's not about who texted first, who apologized last, or who gave more effort this week. The moment she stops counting, it means she's surrendered the idea of love as an exchange and stepped into it as an experience. You see, in the early stages of most relationships, there's always a subtle tension. People watch each other's moves, trying to make sure they're not giving too much away, not appearing too eager, not being the one who cares more. The ego hates imbalance. It's terrified of being the one who feels more deeply. But love doesn't exist where the ego leads. Real love begins the moment one stops keeping score, because only then does giving become natural, not strategic, not fearful, but free. When she no longer keeps track of who called first or who planned the last outing, it means she's comfortable enough to trust the rhythm between you. She's no longer afraid that her effort will go unnoticed or that her affection will be taken for granted. She gives because it feels right, not because she's afraid of losing. That's the quiet confidence of a woman who feels emotionally safe. And safety is the soil where love grows strongest. Scorekeeping always comes from fear. The fear of being taken advantage of, the fear of being unseen. When that fear fades, gratitude takes its place. Instead of asking, "What am I getting?" the question becomes, "What are we creating?" And that shift changes everything. Because love that measures itself by fairness becomes shallow. Love that measures itself by presence becomes infinite. It's a strange thing, but the more you try to measure love, the less of it there is. The moment you try to control its balance, it slips through your hands. But when both people stop trying to keep the scales even, the energy between them starts to move freely, like a river no longer blocked by stones. You give because you want to, and she gives because she feels moved to. There's no keeping track, only giving and receiving as one seamless movement. When she stops keeping score, she's telling you that she trusts you, not to be perfect, not to always give equally, but to give sincerely. That's what she's responding to. The feeling of sincerity that replaces the anxiety of expectation. She knows that sometimes you'll give more, sometimes she will, and that balance doesn't need to be forced. The relationship itself finds its own equilibrium when both people act from authenticity instead of obligation. Think of how peaceful it feels when generosity becomes effortless. When you bring her coffee not to earn a smile, but simply because it brings you joy to see her smile. When she listens to you, not out of duty, but because she wants to understand you better. That's love unmeasured, uncounted. That's when giving stops being sacrifice and becomes celebration. Keeping score turns love into a subtle form of control, a way of ensuring that you're never too vulnerable. But love was never meant to be safe in that way. It was meant to be honest. When she stops keeping score, it means she's ready to let love be what it actually is. Uncertain, unpredictable, but deeply alive. She's chosen to trust the flow, to give without demand, and to receive without guilt. That's not naivety, that's wisdom. Because the deepest form of security doesn't come from fairness, it comes from faith. And it's not just about romantic gestures. It shows up in the small, invisible moments. When she forgives quickly instead of waiting for an apology. When she understands your silence instead of resenting it. when she chooses peace over proving a point. That's love without arithmetic. That's presence without pride. When two people reach that state, their connection becomes less about who's right and more about what's real. They stop competing, stop correcting, and start listening. Every argument softens into understanding. Every mistake becomes a lesson instead of a weapon. That's when the relationship starts breathing on its own, no longer needing to be managed or measured. And if she's reached that place, if she's stopped comparing, stopped counting, stopped holding score, it means she's let go of fear. It means she's not trying to win, she's trying to grow. And that kind of love, rare as it is, doesn't fade with time. It deepens because it's not built on control but on trust. So when she no longer measures how much she gives or how much you've earned, don't take it for granted. It means she's already chosen you, not as a competition, but as a companion. And when she stops keeping score, you already have her. There's a moment in every real connection when time itself seems to dissolve. When she stops thinking about what comes next, when tomorrow fades into irrelevance, and all that exists is this you, her, and the quiet pulse of the present. That's when you know you've reached something deeper than desire or excitement. When she becomes the moment with you, she's no longer looking for the next step or the next reassurance. She's found something rarer peace in the now. You see, most people move through love the way they move through life, always reaching forward, always waiting for the next sign, the next promise, the next confirmation that what they have is real. But the truth is, love doesn't exist in the future, and it can't survive in the past. It only ever breathes here, now, in the small spaces between words and glances, in the stillness of shared presence. When she stops searching for where this is going and simply is with you, she's surrendered to that truth. There's a quiet shift that happens when that moment arrives. The conversations become softer, not because there's less to say, but because there's less to prove. The silences stretch longer, but they no longer feel heavy. She's not wondering what you're thinking, not waiting for a cue to act. She's content just to exist beside you. The need to perform, to analyze, to plan, it all fades away. What's left is something purer, something wordless. When she becomes the moment with you, you'll notice it in the way she breathes. The rhythm slows. The nervous laughter disappears. Her eyes aren't darting around the room anymore. They're anchored, not by effort, but by ease. She's not thinking about how she looks or how she's being perceived. She's not somewhere else in her head, replaying memories or imagining what tomorrow might bring. She's simply there. That's the kind of presence that can't be faked. It's the soul's way of saying, I feel safe here. It's strange how many people miss this. They chase intensity, mistaking it for connection. They think love must always be fiery, dramatic, full of grand emotions. But love, in its truest form, is often quiet. It's not the rush of butterflies. It's the deep exhale after them. It's not needing to hold on, because there's no fear of losing. When she's fully present, it's because she's no longer trying to escape. You've given her something the world rarely offers, the permission to rest. And that's what the present moment really is. Rest. Not inaction, but peace. Not stillness of body, but stillness of being. When she reaches that place with you, she's no longer worried about whether the story will last or whether you'll love her in the same way tomorrow. She's not trying to capture the moment because she's living inside it. The present doesn't need to be remembered when you're truly in it. You might notice her sitting quietly next to you. Maybe her head resting on your shoulder, saying nothing at all. But that nothing is everything. It's the silent language of two souls that no longer need translation. You don't have to fill the space. The space itself has become love. When she's there with you, her body relaxed, her mind unguarded, you'll feel it too. The sense that there's nowhere else to be, nothing else to want. To be present with another person is to let go of every illusion that love is somewhere else. It's not waiting in the future. not hidden in promises, not earned through effort. It's here, right now, in the heartbeat between two people who have stopped pretending to be anywhere else. When she reaches that place, when she stops asking where this is going, it's because she's already arrived. It's a rare and delicate thing, because presence can't be forced. It can only unfold when trust has taken root. It's not the kind of connection you can manufacture with words or gestures. It's built silently, through consistency, through gentleness, through the kind of energy that asks for nothing. And when she senses that from you, she lets go. Her need for control dissolves, her mind quiets, and she falls not just in love, but into being. The beauty of it is that this kind of love doesn't demand forever. It's not about holding on tightly, but about holding lightly. Because when she's fully here with you, the moment itself becomes enough. It doesn't need to last a lifetime to be infinite. And if you ever find her in that state, calm, unhurried, content just to be with you, know that you've already reached the depth that most people spend their lives searching for. Because when she becomes the moment with you, you already have her.